Allez, allez, allez. Allez, allez, allez. Allez, allez, allez.
Welcome to the Sheffield United way. It's time to have a loan watch to look at the players that aren't currently with Sheffield United but are out there gaining valuable, hopefully, experience at a variety of different clubs. And I thought, who better to run the rule over these players than Andrew, Roy, Panchero. He goes by many names. Hey,
hello.
There he is. Good to have you back on the channel, mate. So you like to do on your website, 𝗍𝗿𝗲𝗕 a number of different things, and one of them is a loan update where you get a view from opposition fans who are currently watching our loanees. And we're going to run through some of those. But before we do, first question is, most importantly, how are you? And don't just say I'm fine, because I know you're not.
I've got a cold.
There we go.
We're not all in Cyprus, are we? Do you know what I mean? So the winter is out there, there's snow out there. So I've got a bit of a cold, so if I'm a bit... I apologise, but we're here to do some hard talk on loan updates, and there's no reason why we can't have a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Look at that. What a pro. You should do a podcast or two. I want to start with 𝗬𝗍𝗵 because people that have already looked online at your website might have gone, oh, where's 𝗍𝗍𝗵𝗵? But he's not made the list. And is that because your Spanish is not quite what it used to be?
Well, I was genuinely looking for about half an hour for comments on 𝗬𝗍𝗵. Obviously, he's playing in the Turkish league now. Not the biggest club in the Turkish league or anything like that. So we're fairly hard to get hold of.
Why did I say Spanish?
Yeah, I don't know. I was thinking that, and I thought,
Do you know why? It's because the last message you sent me, you wrote amigo, and I just had Spanish in my head. But of course, he's in Turkey, isn't he?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, he's in Turkey. So I was struggling to get comments, and then I was sort of translating. Then I went on this Turkish general football forum, and then I just thought, what are you doing with your life? Do you know what I mean? This is like, it was a Tuesday evening, and I thought, there's got to be better things to do than this. So I just gave up on it. So realistically, he's never going to play for us ever again, is he? Well, it'd be a massive disaster if he did. So I just sacked him off after a bit and concentrated on 4 players who may very well come back and play for us at some point.
Yeah, some of these I've actually managed to get opinions from friends of mine that I know that support some of these clubs. But I'm going to start with your views from 𝗞𝗶H fans on Sam Curtis. I did a video on this channel which was actually really well received. And I feel like sometimes you do this on purpose. You've just cherry-picked negativity to make my video look bad, haven't you?
Well, the thing is, he's only 18, Sam Curtis. So what happened is on the first view from him, we were pretty mixed, but he won 2 man of the matches in a row, 2 man of the match awards in a row. And I believe he was playing at left wing back for both of those. And that's where he's continued to play, obviously more prominently a right wing back. But he's 18 years old, and I think he's doing what loads of 18-year-old kids do, where they have a bit of a decent spell, and then they just, but he's only started 1 out of the last 10 for 𝗞𝗶𝗴. Wow. And when he's come on, he's made a few mistakes, and what have you. But I think I saw some of our fans like saying, "Oh, I thought he'd have cut it up at 𝗞𝗶𝗴, and I thought he'd do." He's 18 years old. We talk about Blaster and Peck and stuff. They're miles ahead of him in terms of development. Even someone like Sashdev's miles ahead of him in terms of development. They've had more. This is his first real spell in England. I don't know if I don't want to be offensive here to St. Patrick's. Are they a professional football club?
Listen, this is what you and Ben are famous for, disparaging clubs that are professional. Hamilton Academical, for those who don't listen to Blades Pod, I mean, absolutely are a professional club. He played for Shamrock Rovers' second team, and he played for St. Patrick's Athletic, which are absolutely a professional Irish association.
I apologise to the Irish out there. I'm not that clued up on the Irish league. But obviously League One's a bigger standard. Obviously, they'd be playing in front of more people and things like that, in bigger grounds. We played away at Bolton a couple of weeks ago, and I think they got hammered about 5-1. He came on and didn't have the best of games. This is all going to be a great experience. We've seen 𝗍𝗍𝗵𝗵 is a fantastic example of this. The last 2 loan views, I think what I like doing the loan views. So I do think it's interesting, but you can't write a player off on the back of it. 𝗍𝗍𝗵𝗵 didn't get great reviews at Rotherham. He couldn't get in the team. Didn't get great reviews at Rochdale. I think he ended not getting in the team there. You had people like Norton Davis who had really poor reviews when he were at Rochdale. I think he were at Rochdale, yeah. And then Regan Slater at Carlisle got really bad reviews. And I remember being naive at the time. At the first time I got these loan views, thinking, well, these are never going to make it because if they can't do it here. But this is why I'm a very big supporter of sending people out on loan. I know there's like a lot of people who say keep them around the club, get them playing with better players in training and they become better players. I want them to make the mistakes elsewhere. And I think the best example of that is 𝗚𝗿𝗲𝗲𝗹 as well, where last season he went on loan to Port Vale. Would he have been as good if he'd not gone there? I don't know, maybe.
Who knows?
But
I've got a friend who's a massive Vale fan, and I go to watch football with him. He lives in Cyprus here, and he travels back to watch the Valiants quite regularly. The things he says about Ollie 𝗚𝗏𝗏𝗏, he is convinced that 𝗚𝗏𝗏𝗏 will play for England, and often goes as far as saying he's one of the best midfielders that Vale have ever had.
Yeah, well, on the loan update, the last one I did, obviously you were only there 3 months, but probably the best loan updates I've ever got for anybody. People like saying he was better than Grealish. Obviously, Grealish at Notts County in the same league. As you said, people were saying they were the best loan player they've ever had. He was going to play for England. That they were fantastic loan views and they were sort of, but they are normally they are pretty poor, the loan reviews, because they are young lads and they're playing in a man's league where it's very. We've been in League One. It can be a nasty league at times, and they're getting kicked around, but they're learning. And this is why, in an ideal world, 𝗚𝗿𝗏𝗏, Marsh, they'd all be on loan now. Doncaster or I don't think Marsh will link with Doncaster. 𝗚𝗏𝗏 will link with Swindon, I want to say, or someone like that. For me, that'd be better for them rather than just having these odd cameos. I know 𝗚𝗏𝗏 scored, but
conversely, yes, they do get thrown in, and sometimes it's sink or swim. And David Brooks was going to go out on loan. I think it was Chesterfield. And then we axed that, and he were ready. And if you're good enough, you're old enough. And you know what? It'd have been fascinating if you were doing these reviews back in the day when Kyle Walker was on loan at Northampton, because I've no idea how well he got on there. And Calvert-Lewin, conversely as well, I've no idea. I remember looking at the numbers and thinking, he didn't score a lot of goals there. Is he going to be any good? And yet, Everton scouts clearly saw enough. Ben Whiteman as well.
Yeah, I think Calvert-Lewin, even for our fans, because we were in League One at the time, I'll hold my hands up every time he played. I never thought this guy's got something. I thought, he's big and strong for a young lad, but I didn't see anything. But as you said, Everton fans have seen something. Everton scouts, should I say, have seen something and brought him in for £1 million, which was quite a big fee, really. Ramsdale's another one. He got picked up for £1 million after going on lower. I don't know, he won Bolton, were it? I think. But yeah, so look, these are all pretty negative, to be fair. These loan views, but in a weird way, sometimes that makes you more excited because you think, well, they're making the mistakes here in the glare. Peterborough might not be a bigger club than Sheffield United, but they're a big club in League One standard. They're expected to do well in League One, so there is a bit of pressure there, and I think that'll hold him in good stead. And as I said, he's 18 years old. I think how many players come through at 18 years old? You've got to be really, really, really good to play in the top 2 divisions at that age.
You're right. Yeah. Aaron Ramsdale did spend a bit of time at Bolton Wanderers in his youth career, went on loan to Worksop Town from Sheffield United, and Bournemouth loaned him out to Chesterfield, and really AFC Wimbledon's where he sort of properly stepped up and people took notice. But I'm just going to cherry pick a little bit of the Sam Curtis before we move on. So Peterborough fans have said, he's pathetic. Curtis is a liability. Curtis makes me nervous. Should be nowhere near the team. Should have 0 out of 10 today. First thing he did as soon as he came on was dive in and got booked. That's just a selection that I've randomly picked in the middle of those reviews. Do you recall anything else that stuck out, or have there been any positives?
No, there were positives in the last loan view because, like I said, I try and do them every international break. The last one were a lot more positive. I hope he's not watching, Sam Curtis, or if he is watching, sort of, prove him wrong, because I've still got massive faith in his ability. But
Same.
It's like I say, that if anyone sort of reads them and thinks, well, that's him done, as a lot of people do, I'll go back onto my site and type in Norrington Davis or Slater, Whiteman. These got really poor reviews, just as bad as these reviews. I remember Slater in particular getting bad reviews because when he left, I was like, well, yeah, I'm okay with that. And he's gone to be a really, really good championship player. I've now sort of learned from doing this that this is almost the best thing that can happen to you. Have these bad games now, and then it will see how good you are, how you react to it, and how you come back. Sashdev last season on loan at Oldham had an appalling start. They were like, send him back. We don't want it. By the end of the season, or where his loan spell, they were saying, we need to get this guy permanently. Because that's how quick it can change for a young player. And we know that at United as well, where we brought players in. McAtee, great example. That first half of the season, you can imagine our views. And McAtee get him back, send him back. He's rubbish. He's just,
Do you remember on S2, Man City
yeah.
had our pants down?
We've
That
had
was
our pants down with a big thread on there, and then by the end of it, everyone's like, "We need him back next season for Premier League." That's how quick it can change for a young player. They start learning every single time, and that's why I'm a bit disappointed that we never got rid of Marsh and 𝗿𝗿 in the window. But we need him.
We need him. Absolutely, we need him. And you know what, Andrew, you're so right. These lads, I'm assuming a lot of them will have gone through their footballing life as being the best player in their school team, their county team, their academy team, and then suddenly they're thrown into the man's game. And it's the first real setback, and it's the test. Yeah. You're quite right. It's how they react. So we'll see how Sam Curtis reacts. I want him to do well. We'll talk about Antoine Hackford and Port Vale fans' views on the lone striker. What's been the feeling at Vale?
It's weird one with Hackford, actually, because in the last loan view, I think he just scored his first goal. He's another one. He's actually only started 1 out of the last 10. For Port Vale. He's being used as a super sub, as they say. But his guys managed to get 2 goals, and he seems to be, for the view from their fans, I mean, I don't know if you spoke to any of their fans, that he's the sort of striker who'll do nothing than score. He's the sort of striker, if he's not involved or if he doesn't score, he's one of those you think, what's he done today? He's done nothing. And then he'll just pop up with a goal. I feel really sorry for Hackford because he was probably the next in line, weren't he, when we were in that Premier League season under Wilder, when Wilder resigned or left or whatever.
Well, he played, didn't he? At Palace, he came
on against Palace, and I think he was in front of Rasula, he was in front of Jefferson. Then he got this awful injury that really set him back, and he had to restart. I think he went alone at Alfreton, and now this is his first real test. I think he's there for the season, and he's another one. Although he's not in the team at the moment, don't write him off and say, by the end of the season he could be getting 9 or 10 goals, but send Port Vale top of the league, doing really well. And he's obviously contributing to that. He's not the best loan viewer or anything like that, but. Again, he's a bit older than Curtis. I think he's 21 now, but because
he'll be 20. He'll be 21 in March.
Yeah, but because of the injury, he's sort of just starting out as well. So he's another one that, even though the views are a bit, it seems to be when he scores, everyone's saying there's a player in there, and then when he doesn't score, they're saying, "What? This guy's absolutely awful. He doesn't do anything." But he's got some important goals this season for Port Vale, and I think they're going to be up there this season. And he's with all the injuries and the fixtures at Christmas, he's going to play more games coming up, and it's up to him to take his chance.
Yeah, and players mature at different ages, and we'll see with Antoine Hackford what ends up happening with him. We go from a striker to a defender, one of the best names, Miguel Freckleton. And I hope I've said that right, because I've heard it mispronounced several times.
I'll not pick you up on that, Hal.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, it's not like you to mispronounce a name, but then, hey, I didn't know where 𝗬𝗿𝗄𝗃 was playing his football, largely because I've completely forgotten about him, as has this loan update. So let's talk about Freckleton, who's at Swindon Town.
This is another one where it's not been great reviews. This guy's a little bit older. And again, I will say that he was alone at Chesterfield last season, and there were very, very similar views on Freckleton. He's rubbish, he's not good enough, send him back to Sheffield United, blah, blah, blah. By the end of the season, they all loved him. By the end of the season, they were saying, actually, might be someone we should be trying to sign. Swindon fans are not a fan of him, although they are sort of caveat that by saying they themselves are not playing well. I think the second bottom this season or something, Swindon. And he's sort of taking a lot of the brunt because he's a lone player, a young lone player, rather than someone who's, actually plays for Swindon. He's another one that I think, if you're asking me, I've not seen enough purely on the loan views and what I've seen of him. He'll probably not make it at United, but he's got a lot of experience now. He played like a full season basically at Chesterfield National League. He's played every week for Swindon. Some of their fans aren't happy about that, but again, they're playing poorly as a whole. I think this guy will definitely have a career. I don't think it'll be with United if you're putting a gun to me and asking me.
I wouldn't do that to you for a number of reasons. Freckleton, 22 years old, he's already had 7 clubs.
Yeah,
which is it says to me that you're probably right. He might not make it at United. Obviously, I hope he does. But some of the reviews say absolutely no question he will go on and have a career in the EFL. Absolutely no doubt. I've got a feeling Freckleton will be one of those that's not great for us, but in a few years ends up as a decent Championship defender. And others that are just saying, lad's confidence is no doubt fragile. He looks like a rabbit caught in headlights. The issue is purely down to MK, which I think MK is. I don't know.
Swindon's manager, whose name has slipped my mind, but it's Swindon's manager.
But the manager's Ian Holloway, so that's why I was like, who's MK?
I think it's just come in though. Or is it the chairman?
Maybe it is.
Yeah.
Maybe
anyway,
the previous one.
if any Swindon fans are watching, let us know. And
Yeah,
again,
who on earth's
we're up
St.
at St Patrick's and Swindon Town now by knowing nothing about them. But
Absolutely.
Swindon are really, really struggling this season. But I mean, I've never known them be this bad, Swindon, to be completely honest. They've always been at least seems to me like a top League Two side. When I was growing up, they were in the Premier League. So it's a massive fall for them. So I think the whole club is, not in a great place. And again, this is something that it'll be affecting him now. Now, I imagine he has lost confidence. Everyone loses confidence playing in a poor team.
Yeah.
Could build him, though. Could be the best thing for him. Could build him. As you said, he's had that many loans, and he is 22 now. I personally think he will have a career in the AFL, but I don't think it'll be with United.
6'4", too tall. Not a fan of that.
What is it? 5'7", 5'8" is the greatest height. I think it's been.
I mean, I'm actually 5'9", if we really want to get into.
Are you though?
Depends what shoes I'm wearing. Now, Mark Kennedy, by the way. Mark Kennedy. Yeah, must have been.
The ex-manager, the former manager.
Yeah.
He played against us, I think, today.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. For Wolves. At Millennium Stadium. Yeah. Norwich fans. Now, I've got to be honest with you. I might have got this one wrong. Anish Slimane, for me, I think he's a player. And I know a lot of United fans are going to be like, what have you seen? How have you seen enough? I just feel like every time I have seen him, there's a bit of a live wire about him. There's something a little different. And he comes from a football and a style of football that we just don't have a player like that. So I was quite surprised that we let him go. I'm not sure Chris Wilder helped the situation, the way that he spoke about him in terms of increasing his market value. But here we are. And he's gone on loan at Norwich. Initially, I remember from what your view from was, they really liked him. Where are we now with Norwich?
This is interesting, this. I mean, he's been injured. After that initial really, really good loan update from Norwich, saying they love him. And what were really interesting is a lot of them were saying, we've needed a tough tackler like Slimane for a long, long time. And I'm like, is he? Because as you said, he has got qualities, but I've never seen him as a tough tackling midfielder. I got my friend Ben off Blades Pod to look into the stats of this. He's made one tackle every hour. And on this view from it sort of reveals why they thought he was a tough tackler. By the time of it, he did one tough tackle in his debut. So now in their minds, he's this big tough tackling midfielder, which is obviously
not. Do you imagine if actually that was what he was doing? One tough tackle every hour, but I mean in his life. Like he'd have to get up. You couldn't go to Tesco's with him. You couldn't have him waiting at a bus stop near anyone elderly. It would be an absolute nightmare. If you had a superpower, that would be awful, wouldn't it?
Just tackling all
crunching.
The time,
stay away from Anis. It's nearly that time.
Yeah. But he's but like I say, they would really liked him in the first loaner day. I think he played about 3 or 4 games for him. Got a big injury. He's only just come back, and in the last 2 games where he's played, he's not done much, to be fair. But again, caveat that with Norwich have been awful. I think it's 9 without a win. I think it even lost to Wednesday. Come on.
Which is a surprise because I've got to say they look like one of the best teams we'd faced this season.
I agree. I had them for the top 6. I had them at the top 6. I didn't have the beginning of the season, but after seeing them in the early games, one against us and a couple of others, I thought these are a good side. I thought they were as good as us. Well, I know, you can't do that.
You can't do that. I did mine. I'll not tell you where I put Luton, although it is on this channel. Nick reminds me almost every day.
Yeah. But I actually had Norwich on a par with United earlier on in the season. Like I thought they look about as good as us. They might still be very early, but United at the moment obviously look a far better team. Norwich have got a lot of injuries in fairness to them. Slimane were one of them. And I think the main problem, funnily enough, is a certain George Long in goal, who every time I go on the Norwich forum, there seems to be a new thread of just absolutely just saying how bad he is or how much they want him out and all this sort of stuff. I think Angus Gunn is injured, so Long's been playing, and he's considered, by the sounds of it, a lot of poor goals. Slimane, watch this space, I'll say, with him. I think this is a big 3 months for him. I'm really interested to see how he goes because, like I say, he started well, got an injury, and he sort of did this with us as well, if you remember. He was in and out a little bit with injury with us, even though he didn't play too many games last season. He was one of the 10 million who were on the treatment table quite a lot. If he keeps fit, I'm really interested to see how it goes with him because Norwich, I think they will pick up, and then we'll see, where we're at from there.
Was it Brentford at home that he came on and looked really good for us?
Brilliant. Yeah. I remember, because I was I have to admit, when everyone was saying, get Slimane in early on in the season, get Sousa out and get Slimane in, I'm thinking, well, how bad Slimane? If Sousa's playing this bad and Norwood's playing this bad, Slimane. Yeah. And then he came on against Brentford. I was like, why have we not been playing this guy? Like, he's brilliant. And then just went off the boil. I think he started away at Villa. And I genuinely remember him coming off and going, Was he on the? I genuinely don't remember
Yeah.
that guy on the pitch.
Although probably one of our best away performances, bar Luton Villa away,
Mm,
and he did play in it. So,
yes, very true,
you
very
know,
true. There was
yeah,
another one as well. Chelsea
facts.
away we weren't too bad. I think he played in that. I think.
There you go. That's the
Yeah.
secret sauce, Slimane.
Put Slimane in. Yeah, get Slimane in. So good luck
Even
for
if,
Norwich then. Yeah, it's looking good for
even
Norwich.
if he doesn't particularly play well, because I mean, some of the reviews here, Slimane has been awful. Must have been caught in possession more than any other player. Doesn't look fit for English football. Slimane, put a foot in, you idiot! Please, please don't buy him. Slimane's now conceded 2 goals because he simply won't tackle. I don't see what he offers. Just some damning Norwich reviews, and I would say that we should ignore all of those. And if you are watching and you are a scout for any club around the world, he is a quality player and worth at least 5 million.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, his Tunis an international, so they're not 10 a penny, are they? So
Absolutely.
I mean, I don't know. I can't work out international football though. San Marino won last night for you. That's the second. They've got promoted to. So I don't know how good Tunisia are. I don't
I'm
know
the
how good
only
San
person in
Marino
the
are.
world, I think, who's gutted about that, because I lived in Gibraltar, as I think you know, for a while, and I really
Yeah,
fell in love with the Gibraltarian national team, and they knocked Gibraltar off top spot,
yeah.
San Marino, and everyone's celebrating it, and the Twitter account's gone crazy, and I'm like, will no one think of Gib, please?
No one. Yeah, but they're new Gibraltar. So San Marino have had what 25, 30 years of just being an international joke. And now we're finally
Yeah.
seeing the fruits of their. But yeah, I think Andorra's the worst in football. I don't know how we got onto this, but anyway.
Don't know how. If you
Yeah.
came for a lone review, you really got UEFA Nations League Group D chat
Yes.
instead.
It's the best,
Roy,
by the way. Sorry, on that. I hate
yes,
Nation League boring. Everyone knows the Nation League's boring. The Group Ds are by far the most interesting thing about the Nations League because it's all these bad teams playing each other. And I've always wanted the worst team World Cup. Do you know what I mean? Like
same,
the 32
100%.
ranked teams. Let's see once and for all who is the worst team in the world.
There was a point when I was living in Gibraltar when I thought, if I stay here long enough, I could get a game.
Yeah, but they got Danny Higginbottom up, didn't they?
Yeah.
He went there once or whatever. So yeah,
And Liam Walker, who played for Notts County as well.
yeah,
Actually, all jokes aside, they really tried really hard, gave their all. I watched them loads of times internationally, and I saw them against the Republic of Ireland and 𝗍𝗍 and Callum Robinson,
yeah,
Egan and De Stevens, all involved. And I think it was
yeah.
only 2-0.
Yeah, I remember watching that, and I think we
Yeah.
were in lockdown, weren't it? That, yeah.
Oh, I can't remember. These
Yeah,
things,
who
it
cares?
might not have even been that score. But who can say? Time, what is it? It's a construct. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for rattling through these. We can look forward to another one in the next international break, which I don't think is till March, something like
Yeah.
that. So what's coming up next for you?
More of these, as David Brent says. But now, I was going to do a former players update actually, but after so we're going to include George Baldock in it, and I'm just not ready to do it, to be honest, because even though I'm not going to include him now for obvious reasons, that was my plan for this week, but I just don't feel right. I don't know why. I don't know why. Because I knew I was going to include him, and then I sit down to do it, and I think, oh no, I'll leave it. But I'll try and get that out when there's a week break. But obviously, we've got 3 games coming up: Coventry, Oxford, and Sunderland. So I was doing pre-match views for all them, and I've not missed a view from this season so far. Very nearly did away at Middlesbrough, but I didn't do it. Everyone so far, I've managed to do a post-match view.
And what's your rule? Is it 3 that you're allowed in the season?
Not including Wednesday. If Wednesday beat us, that's an obvious. I will not be
Obvious.
doing this, and I'm just going to pretend it never happened. Because I've seen their reaction. I don't want to be one of them. That's actually the thing. Actually, that if we do lose to Wednesday in the return fixture, let's just not act like they have, please.
Oh,
because
no.
it gives us more excitement.
If I were them, I'd have stayed off social media for a year, and yet
Just
they've
gonna
been
mention
straight
that,
back on.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'd have been playing up this cold. Oh, I'm really sorry. I can't do anything. I've got this cold. And To be fair, the guy on the _𝗍𝐵𝐻 channel, Joe's 𝗍𝐵𝐻 channel, he did quite a good job of pretending he weren't bothered. But I think that's the best way to play it. In fairness, I'm like, no, not bothered. Not bothered. Didn't watch it. Didn't even watch it.
If you say so. Yeah, that's Ash from a Wednesday podcast.
Sorry.
That I won't say the name of. Right. It's been a pleasure. Thank you again for doing this, and we will be listening to you on Blades Pod and Living with 𝗲𝗍𝗿 very soon.
Thank you very much, mate. Cheers.